Hello, my friends. It is Trucker Ray. Welcome back to another edition of Bible Break. Today we continue our series in Revelation with chapter 9 as we continue the blowing of the trumpets. I received a lot of good comments about the series, and it sounds like you guys are enjoying it, and I appreciate it very much. I also want to mention that I will never claim to know what all of this means. We want to read it together, and we want to discern it together, what God is showing us. So anything that I read, and you feel God's putting something on your heart, what it's about, feel free to share it in the comments below, because I will be more than happy to read it. And we can share that together. Today I'm going to be reading from a different translation. I'm trying a program out I haven't used in a long time. It's called eSword, and it's called eSword X, and it's for Mac. And of course you have to buy the New King James translation on here for $14, and I already paid for this program. I don't feel like paying for anything more today. So, however, there is a modern King James version, and it's very similar to it. So I'm going to be reading from that one. So, and if anybody has a Mac, you have to buy the eSword. But if you have a PC, there's a free version. It's called eSword, like sword. So it's called eSword X or eSword for PC. Check it out. This is a great program. It's got commentary in here. It's got the Strongs and everything. It's coordinates. It's a very nice program. So do check it out. Okay. As you can see, I'm breathing a little bit better today. Let's continue. We're in Revelation chapter 9, and we are at verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from the heaven to the earth, and it was given the key to the abyss. And a nice thing too about this eSword, I can put both translations side by side. So the King James would say, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. Maybe I'll just read out of the King James version, make my life a little easier here. All right. Verse 2, and he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of a pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Now, chapter 9 is going to be sharing some really interesting descriptions of things that are going on in this earth. And you got to remember here, John is seeing stuff he's never seen before. He's trying to explain these things. For example, military equipment or what. He doesn't quite know what to make of it. He's never seen a tank before. He's never seen an airplane before. So we'll go on. I'll share more about this as we go through it. So again, I'm going to start right from verse 1 and go through again. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from the heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. Satan falling from heaven. I think this is when Satan was kicked out. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Verse 3, and there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. This can be a little bit confusing in itself as well. Is there really smoke coming up from something that opened up in the ground? It's hard to tell, isn't it? But he says he's seeing this, and there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them were given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. Verse 4, and it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Remember the 144,000? They were given the seal of God on their forehead. So only they were going to be able to avoid these things that are coming on the earth. Which almost makes you think, the church must be gone. Again, I don't want to get into debates about when the rapture happens. But if they're the only ones that are not going to be affected, it's a good possibility the church is gone. You never know. For those of you that have not watched this before, what do you mean you think? Well, there's a lot of controversy on the rapture, whether it happens before the tribulation, in the middle, or at the end. I don't like to tell anybody exactly when it's going to happen because I don't know myself. And I'm never ever going to be someone that says, oh, don't worry, we're never going to see any of this stuff. We're not going to have to worry about tribulation. We're not going to have to worry about nothing. No, I'm fully aware that we are not. The church has been forgiven, and we are not going to be dealing with God's wrath. We will not have these plagues upon us. I really believe that if we still have to be here for some reason, God would protect us, just as he protected the children in Egypt when God poured out all those judgments upon Egypt and Pharaoh. All of Egypt was affected by the plagues, the frogs, the poisoned water, everything, the locusts, everything, that even the death that came to the city. But who was protected? The children of Israel in Goshen. They weren't affected by any of them. So if God could do that then, he can certainly do that during this time. Again, there's so much you could say about the rapture of the church, but I'd like to always say, be prepared for anything. Be prepared for any case, if it's before, during, or after. Keep looking up. Keep looking up. But again, I just don't want to be one of these guys that say, don't worry, you don't have to worry about any of this. And then something happens and we do see some of this and someone's faith gets turned backwards and they walk away from God because somebody told them we weren't going to have to deal with this, and they were wrong. So this is why I don't want to ever tell anybody. Pray about it. See what the Lord tells you. All right. Okay, verse 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but they should be... Okay, I'll go do for verse 4 again. And it was commanded to them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither the green thing, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Verse 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. So, the men of the earth, those of the earth that have obviously accepted the seal of the Antichrist, they're not going to be able to die. They're going to want to die, but they won't. This is going to be God's judgment on them, his wrath. And verse 6 says, and in those days men shall seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. They won't be able to die. They will not be successful on escaping this time, because this is the time of God's wrath on those who said, nope, I don't want Jesus. I want the world. Well, you want the world? Now judgment is being poured onto the earth and onto the world. Verse 7. And the shapes of the locusts. Now this is where it gets interesting. Remember, John has never seen anything modern. He's trying to picture this. He's trying to describe this. And we'll see if we can figure out what he's looking at. And the shape of the locusts were like unto horses, prepared unto battle. And on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. Isn't this interesting? Faces of men. And on their heads, as it were, crowns like gold. This is the locusts. What do you make of that? Isn't that interesting? I'm not receiving anything from that. If someone else is, I'd love to hear it. Let's continue. Verse 8. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. Is John seeing some kind of military equipment? As we continue on, I'm thinking he's seeing helicopters, and I think as we come up here, verse 9. But it said it has hair. What do you think that's in the front that looks like hair? unless it's something we haven't seen before, or it's some kind of military garb or equipment that they're using out in the Middle East, in that area, or what. Or they really could be locusts. I mean, we don't know. This could be realistic. These could be realistic creatures doing God's work, because, yeah, anyway, let's continue on here. Yeah, because it says the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. Okay. Verse 8, and they had hair, the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. Verse 9, and they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Could these be helicopters? Could these be Apache helicopters, maybe? Because God is pouring out his wrath, but when he wants to pour out his wrath and judgment, he can use whatever resource he wants. He could be using another nation to do this too. We don't really know. One day we'll find out. 10. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. These very well could be creatures that are doing this. It very well could be. Or it's something else. God is using certain nations to do this. Because it could be, you got to think about this. The Antichrist at this time is going to be in power. He's going to have control of the entire earth. He's going to have control over all of the military of the earth as well. So God could easily be putting into his mind to attack the people, because we know at the end the Antichrist will rebel towards the people on the earth who refuse to take his mark, or should I say, who have refused to take his mark, and those who have refused to listen. Because at the very end, they finally realize that this guy, when he goes into the temple and does the abomination of desolation, whether he sacrifices a pig or whatever he does there, the Jewish people are going to say, they're going to reject him. They're going to realize this isn't the Messiah. So this very well could be him from God's instruction. Do you remember when God sent Moses to tell the children of Israel, or to tell Pharaoh, let my people go? And Pharaoh continued to say no. Well, Pharaoh wasn't saying no to give Moses a hard time. It said in the Bible, it says there in Exodus, that God hardened Pharaoh's heart so he wouldn't let them go. And the reason behind that is because God wanted to pour these judgments down on Egypt and show Pharaoh and show Egypt who is God. So he could be using the Antichrist authority to pour this judgment out on the people on the earth. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing here could be military equipment. 11 here. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Isn't this interesting? So they have a king over them, and he is the angel of the bottomless pit. Who do you think that king is? Satan. He's using Satan to pour out these judgments also on the earth. Who is being controlled by Satan? The Antichrist. This is getting interesting. Verse 12. One woe is past, and behold, there comes 2 more woes hereafter. Wow. And the angel's trying to say, it's getting worse, and it's going to get worse. Verse 13, and the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God. 14, saying, to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great rivers Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay a third part of men. So, God dries up the river Euphrates, and there's going to be a mass army that's going to make their way across, and they're going to kill a third of man. Verse 16, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. So 200,000 would be 200 million. That's an army of 200 million, and they're coming over the river Euphrates. Who has the size of an army like that? Could this be China? Could this be Indian, like the Pakistani or Indians? Bet you it's China. I bet you it's China. Because China seems to be quiet, the sleeping giant, as they used to call Russia anyway. Verse 17, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Could be tanks. By these three, verse 18, by these three was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. Unbelievable. 200 million man army. A third of men over there. Wiped out. And 19, for their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. Verse 20, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. I love it when God says this. In the Old Testament, you hear it in Psalms, I believe it is, or you hear it in Proverbs as well, where God makes it clear. None of these things can see, nor hear, nor walk. Why are you worshiping these things? It's just funny. And it just scares me. We only have one more verse. I want to read 20 again. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues. Okay, these are serious plagues. These are scary things that are going on. How hard does your heart have to be that you're not going to repent? It's incredible. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Or I said talk, but it's walk. It's incredible. All this judgment, and they still would not repent. Verse 21, neither repented of their murders, nor their sorceries, nor their fornication, nor their thefts. Let's translate that one verse. Neither repented of their murders. What is going on in America and the world right now? How many babies are dying every single day? I don't think this is referring to people just going out murdering people. I believe this is people that are killing children. Maybe during this time, they'll have assisted suicide. We don't know. This also could be referring to real actual people out there murdering people. But look what's going on how many babies are murdered every single day. And they're even murdering them now after their birth. That's insanity. So they're not repented of their murderers, nor of their sorceries. What sorceries is that? Well, a lot of people are involved with the cult. Sorceries also means people that are involved with drugs. Involved with different cults and religions. And there's something else I wanted to refer that to. And yeah, just simply anything that has to do with the dark side and witchcraft and this Wicca stuff and everything. Nor of their fornication. Wow, gee, that's not something. If that's not something that's out of control on this planet right now, my goodness, I mean, I don't think there's too many people out there that I know that aren't fornicating. I'm not judging people, but most people that you talk to, they're either living with their girlfriend or their boyfriend, and they're certainly not celibate. If they are, you're just putting yourself in a ridiculous amount of temptation. It's just, that's the norm nowadays. That's the norm. You listen to some of these talk show hosts. I listened to one. I'm not going to mention her name, but I used to like listening to her, and she's one of these people that you call in and she gives you all this advice on your family and your relationships and everything, and she's been doing it for a long time. And it just seems to be normal. She doesn't believe that people should be living together outside of marriage, which is a good thing. But she will say things like, but just go to his place and do your fooling around, but just don't let your kids know. Don't let your kids know. Don't let them know. So the fornication thing just seems to be normal. And it's not normal. It's not, or should I say, it should not be normal. This is something that should wait until marriage. This is a gift from God. That is a gift from God. When you have that relationship, that physical relationship with your with your wife, with your husband, your spouse, it's a beautiful thing. It's a gift from God. It's not only is it pleasurable between the married couple, but it's also, a way of reproduction, and it's a gift from God. And I'm telling you, if you are dating somebody and you've held back from doing that, good for you. Keep it up, because it's a totally different story when you get married and you spend that time on that wedding night. How beautiful that is compared to somebody who's already been doing it who knows how long. They don't even have that to look forward to. So take my word for it. If you're dating or if you're engaged and you've held off on being physical with each other, hold off. You're doing good. You're doing good. So neither of their fornication nor of their thefts. So all these judgments, and they're still not repenting. We still have the rest of the trumpets, and then we'll have the bowls. And it's just crazy. Crazy times. My friends, I hope I was able to help you understand a little bit of this, because Revelation is not easy. As a matter of fact, if you're studying the book of Revelation, you need to study Daniel with it. I should have this side by side on here, because Daniel and the book of Revelation go hand in hand, because they both deal with the end times, and they're very, very good reference for each other. So next time, chapter 10 on the next edition of Bible Break. Again, leave your comments underneath. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe and hit the little bell, which will give you notifications when the next video is uploaded. So until next time, God bless you all in the name of Yeshua. Bye for now.